Hello everyone and welcome to 8-Bit Boy, which is a 2D platformer, but it's also a deeply personal game for the developer. And to start a new game, of course. Welcome to 8-Bit Boy. You might notice he's in more than 8 bits, but that's okay. It's the spirit of being 8-bit that matters. This is a pretty simple game. We only have 2 buttons. We can jump, and we can run, and we can use power-ups that we get from blocks like Mario. The only power-up is berries, which let us shoot. One of the game's more interesting mechanics is that by ducking and firing, we can bounce shots off of walls. And if I use it properly, we can do trick shots and hit enemies. It's a very useful feature. Makes you pay attention to your environment and use it to your advantage, and I like that. The level design accommodates for it pretty well, too. We can start running by holding in the secondary button, again just like Mario, and it lets us jump higher and farther. Welcome to the actual game. We can kill enemies by hitting them from below as long as they're standing on a block, again, just like Mario. We got a power up to our berry, which lets us fire 2 shots at once. Useful since many enemies do take 2 hits. standard vanishing platforms. There's nothing really out of the ordinary in this stage, pretty straightforward. We got the blackberries. These shoot shots that go through enemies. The blackberries are the final offensive power-up, and they're the most useful, as you might expect for a game like this where it's not really about choice. After we get so many coins, we get an extra power-up stored in our inventory. We have to get a lot of coins to make that happen, though. Welcome to one of the many underground levels. The underground levels all have the same music, and they're all harder than the overground levels, or overworld levels. You know what I meant. Don't be snippy. You've seen these upcoming fish enemies in Mario 2, but we can kill them while they're in the water, which I think is kind of a neat feature. Our shots ricochet all over the place, as you've noticed. Something about this game that's important to note is that losing your power-ups really hurts. It feels as bad as losing your power-ups in Gradius. It may not seem that bad, but there is a huge difference in trying to tackle all of the enemies without your berries. Even this early on. These, I don't know what these are, plungers? They hop up and down, and that's pretty much all they do. All of the underground levels have the same music. It's good music, though. I prefer the changing overworld music a lot more. This level introduces the idea that platforms can be hidden inside of blocks. Like that one. I got stuck here for a few minutes because I didn't know that. Never really occurred to me. This is as close as the game gets to being non-linear. There's not a whole lot of tricks up its sleeve. I mean, there's a whole lot of obstacles up its sleeve, but for the most part you just move forward. Or right, as it were. The birds can be pretty hard to deal with if you don't have any projectiles, but we have plenty. Right now the formations they fly in are pretty straightforward, but they get more inconvenient later. Because that's how game design works. They were pretty inconvenient right there too, but I saw them coming, so we didn't die. Again, ducking and shooting lets you fire your shots upward at an angle. Lots of enemies right here, but that platform is made so we can just kind of hop right over them. So we did. Welcome back to the underground. It's a bit tougher than last time. Would be even tougher if we didn't have our weapon, though. Water, as you might have expected, is instant death. We dissolve as soon as we touch it. Like, literally dissolve. Doesn't look pleasant. These can of course crush us, but timing our way through them is no big deal. We just got a power-up in our inventory, which it uses instantly. We don't get to choose when to use that, it just adds it on its own. I'm not sure why you would want to use it manually. The snakes take 2 hits and also lunge at you if they see you. They're probably not going to see you before you kill them, though. There are a lot of bird enemies in this game, and there's a reason for that. Not really a story-related reason, but there's a reason. Right now we are pretty much the god of death, especially in close places like this. In small areas, especially, yeah. The weapon is a killer, and that's what we want it to be. Unfortunately, it's really easy to lose it. As the game progresses, you're going to be seeing less and less ground. By the time you get to level 3, they've pretty much given up on the idea of ground. And it's just a whole bunch of platforms. I meant to say World 3, not Level 3, but I'm sure you got that. A lot more enemies we're seeing. Really, no big deal if we're patient. If you want to run through the stage head first, though, you're gonna die. This game does require that you be rather methodical. Either that or memorize everything. Your choice, both are equally effective. I like that 8-Bit Boy gets sparkles behind him when he runs. It's a nice effect. The sparkles also change color depending on the power-up he has. There's a lot of underground stages. Perhaps I didn't mention that yet, but there is a lot of them. They're really where most of the game's challenge comes from. The overworld stages are kind of a breather in comparison. The bats try to come down right on top of you, but as long as you keep moving, it's not a big deal. The only real danger is if you stop right as you see one. It can be especially difficult to deal with them while platforming, but again, just keep jumping, just keep moving, and you'll be fine. Of course, if we have weapons, we don't have to deal with them at all. Losing your weapons in this game is the worst. The only tricky thing about moving platforms is that our character, much like Mario, again, has momentum, so he slides a little bit if you're using the running jump. Yeah, like I said, eventually the game pretty much gives up on the idea of ground. In later stages, it's just one pixel-wide platforms everywhere, in increasingly more difficult situations. This world actually has a kind of narrative you might not have noticed. Every time we come back from the underground, the world is more and more flooded. I think that's kind of cool. It's easy to miss, too. So we lost our weapons, which is not fun. Hopefully we can get them back. Because trying to jump on every enemy is, difficult. Not so much in the first world, but it's still kind of hard. This is one of the first stages with multiple paths. Now, there are a lot of secrets, but we're just gonna go the way straight to the goal. Because this video is already pretty long. And I'm just trying to show off the game's mechanics. There's not really a whole lot to the secret areas. There's also some dead ends in this stage, which is kind of mean. That jump could have been tricky if we didn't break that block before jumping. Could have bounced off and right into the water. But that happened to me before, so I know better. The enemies are individually programmed to go in specific paths. They don't really have regular AI routines. Each enemy is programmed to act differently and go a different way, which I think is pretty cool. Do you like underground stages? Thankfully we got our shot back right as we met new bat enemies. Might have been kinda difficult to deal with them otherwise. Not now, though. I like the pipes. Again, another nod to Mario. This game's not very subtle about its Mario references. I suppose it's more than references, it uses pieces of Mario's design as well. Oh dear. Very tight spaces. This right here is just kind of a fun goof around area. Try and kill the enemies before letting them drop down on you. Not too hard. These 3 jumps right here were super scary when I first started playing the game. Because you have to keep bouncing, there's not really a place you're allowed to stop. Stage is pretty straightforward after that, though. Not much to worry about. We got our blackberries back. And a bunch of coins. There are a whole lot of secret areas in this game. Over 300, I believe the developer said. And hey, let's move on to the last stage before the boss fight. Welcome back. Might have gotten stuck there too if we didn't learn earlier about the hiding platforms. This stage probably has more secret areas than the entire rest of the world put together, but we're going to ignore all of them and just head straight forward. The game may seem a little bit void of personality, but I don't find that to be the case at all. The personality is in the traditional game design. It's in what the developer is passionate about, which is the game design itself. The cutesy retro aesthetic, that's just a cutesy retro aesthetic. It's not the important part. I got a red coin back there so I could show you off at least one of the bonus levels. Show off to you. I'm having trouble speaking today. We can complete the bonus level by getting all of the coins, but I don't. I get most of them. We still get a reward for getting a whole ton of coins, just not as big a reward. I think all the music in this game is pretty nice. It's not exactly memorable, but it fits with what's going on. Oh well. We got an extra life anyway. Oh boy, it's boss time. What could the boss possibly be? Well, it was foreshadowed a bit. It's a big bird! All the bosses are big birds. This boss is pretty simple. We want to jump on its head, and after we jump on its head, it starts bouncing. And we just have to follow the arc of its bounce so we don't get hit. Really, about as simple as a boss can get. That's not true. Really about as simple as a well-designed boss can get, I should say. He only takes 3 hits, but I did die at least twice by just trying to hide in the corner, when I should have been paying more attention to his bounce arc. Something the developer really understood about platforming games is theming. Each world has its own unique enemies and hazards. For example, there are cacti enemies that hide among the regular cacti. Like that guy. And there are blocks in this stage that dissolve when you step on them. But that's all I'm gonna show off of 8-Bit Boy. It's really fun, but it's really simple. It was still made by someone with a lot of passion, and I recommend it.